Okay, Shalom Aleichem, everybody. Today's daf is daf Mem Dalet. We start from daf Mem Gimel on the days in the bottom of the Mishnah. Look, the Heilige Mishnah. Rabbi Yosi says, such an interesting opening to a Mishnah, huh? Rabbi Yosi Oimer, that's the opening. Rabbi Yosi says, Nachamal. We're talking about the previous Mishnah said that the Chachamim hold that you have to be ma'abed Avodah Zarah through throwing it into the Yam HaMelech. Now Rabbi Yosi says you don't need to throw it into the Yam HaMelech. Shoichig v'zoyra l'ruach. You can be mekayim the mitzvah of abed to abdun by grinding it up and throwing it into the wind. That's how you do it. Yeah, this is how you ensure that no Jew picks up this Avodah Zarah and
like grinding it, huh?
and is oived it. Yeah, you grind it up. V'zoyra l'ruach. Oi. Another option is made to yam, or you could throw it into the yam. Omru lois, the Chachamim said, nisht, nein, bevadai shelo. Yeah, what other language do you know no in? Yeah, how do you say it in Spanish? Nisht, no, nein. Okay? Don't do that. Don't throw it to the wind. You know why? Because afu nasa zevel. If you throw it to the wind, then what happens afterward? It comes down. The law, Newton's law, whose law is the law of gravity, yeah?
Newton.
Isaac Newton, yeah. So anyway, so it comes down, law of gravity, and then it's mezabel. It fertilizes people's fields. You have a no. You're saying it's made out of matechet. Interesting. If you grind it up, it's an interessant zach. It's one of. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, something interesting.
Minerals, you know?
Right.
So it's probably good for the...
Right. Yeah, very interesting observation. Yeah, Zug the Gemara, Chachamim said, don't grind it up and throw it to the wind, because when it lands, it's going to fertilize a person's field, and Yisrael will have enough from it. You're not living enough from Avodah Zarah. So yesh lanu machloket po, we have machlokes in the Mishnah, whether you could take Avodah Zarah, grind it up, and throw it to the wind. Rabbi Yosi says you could. Chachamim say, you cannot, because at the end of the day, you might have a no because it falls to the ground that's going to fertilize your field. Zuk the Gemara, Tanya, Omelam Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi said to Chachamim, what do you mean? The haloi kvar nemar, it says in the Torah, Meschataschem, asher asisem eso egel, lokachti, ve'esroif oisoi be'eish. Yeah, Moshe Rabbeinu came down the mountain and he took the egel and he burnt it in fire. Right, Moshe Rabbeinu recounts in Parshas Eikav what he did when the Yidden did the Egel. What did he do? He ground it up, and then first he burnt it, and then he ground it up into afar, whatever was left. He ground it up. And he threw the afar down the nachal. Now, by the way, what does nachal mean over here? Chaim Kanievsky in Derech Sich in Parshas Eikav, and this pasuk says that where's a nachal on midbar? You have a nachal of Maim in the midbar. That a be'ira shel Miriam. Where did they have a nachal in a midbar? Yeah, nachal in a midbar didn't have anything to drink. What does a nachal mean? It says nachal means a valley. It doesn't mean there was water there. So what do you see from here? That Moshe Rabbeinu, Rabbi Yosi says, I have a pasuk in the Torah. You're telling me I can't take an Avodah Zarah, grind it up, and be zayrit l'ruach. What do you think Moshe Rabbeinu did over here with the egel? That's what he did. Va'ashlichas afaroi el nachal. Yeah. Amrullah the Chum answered, no, B'sham Raya, you think that's a proof? It says in the pasuk by the parsha of the egel in Kesisa, Vayizer al pnei hamayim, vayashkes bnei Yisrael. What did he do with the offer? What did he do with the offer? You know what he did with the offer? He then took it and then put it into mayim, and who did he give it to? He gave it to Klal Yisrael, right? They drank like a meisoita. Anybody who did the aveira, actually Rashi over here, right here says, there were 3 onshim for the chotem, for those who did the egel. Yeah? 3 levels of the egel. Rashi says here. Rashi says, those who mamish served zibach v'kiter. Rashi says, top Rashi. Those who shechted karbonis for the egel. You know what happened with them? 3,000 people got killed b'sayif, right? The Levium went out, right? Mila Shem Alai, Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Levium. They went out, they took swords, and they killed. Even if it was a relative, it didn't matter. And who did they kill? They killed people who mamish served the egel through karbana zibach v'kiter. That's one level. The other level is gipik v'nishek, somebody who kissed the egel, somebody who's mamish showed physical expression, physical passion for the egel. Even if they didn't do a carbon, they died with a magefa. The magefa, that was a magefa for them. And the last level, anybody who was sameach beliba, Rashi says, it was the lowest level. Anybody who was happy with the egel, even if they didn't physically express it, even if they weren't makriv karbonos, for them, they died with the mesaita.
Wasn't this the Arab Rab who really was the one who eliminated?
The Erev Rav, they were the ones who
Were mainly eliminated.
mainly eliminated. The three, probably the Erev Rav did the worst level because they were taka Erev Rav.
They were the ones who influenced the.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you know the one that was smechim ba'egel?
Yes.
He got cancer.
They were the ones that got the
No, there were three did it.
their stomachs exploded like a soita.
No, that's not what he says.
No?
He says here, look. He says, look, something like this sota,
Yeah.
You're right.
Their stomach exploded like a soita. Like they were happy, so that's who Moshe Rabbeinu gave them a soita to. So the Gemara is saying that you think that the offer went and fertilized it was offered from Avodah Zarah. What Moshe Rabbeinu did, he put it into mayim and then he gave them to drink. Yes.
Is that implying that the rest of the Yisrael didn't do anything wrong, and then if so, why were they punished, or were they just punished for not stopping it?
That's a great question. In other words, they weren't punished. You're saying because they couldn't get into Eretz Yisrael. Very good. There's a fourth level, Eitan is saying, because they couldn't get into Eretz Yisrael. Yeah? Zekulam. So he's saying, what do you mean? If the lowest level was Sameach Beliboy, like Rashi says, and they got Mesaita, so what was below that? I guess below that was that they weren't Moicha. They didn't. The Gemara says they all. Torah says they all contributed.
Aaron and Cohen was put under extreme duress.
Chur. They killed Chur.
They killed Chor, so
Mar
he's
Sanhedrin, right? Correct.
They did not.
Aha.
שבט לוי לא היה בעגל.
לא היה בעגל. כן. מילה שם אליי.
הם הלכו להרוג את כל
נכון.
That the Arab Rav was the highest level because no Yid when Moshe was leader they wouldn't give carbonates for him. Only somebody crazy would do that.
Yeah.
But the second level, kiss him. Most people would kiss his
Beautiful.
hand
Yeah.
because it shows that only Yidden were
Yeah.
the second last level.
Interesting. Very interesting. To answer your question, Eitan, I think that they all contributed. That was even a lower level. But Rashi's talking about when they died on the spot. There are three groups of people who died on the spot. Depending on the level of Aveira they did, that was their level of Misa. So the worst was the people who were Makriv, they died Besayef, with sword. And those who were physically expressing love to the Egel, those died with a Magefa. And those who were Sameach Belibam, they were happy in their hearts, those died with a Meis Saita. Yeah, Amalem Rabbi Yossi. The Gemara says, Rabbi Yossi says, I have another raya. Okay, we're up to 6 lines from the top of Mem Dal and Amid Aleph. Amalem Rabbi Yossi, v'lekver nemar. I have another raya that you're allowed to take an Avodah Zarah, grind it up, and throw it into the wind. You know what my raya is? It says, v'lekver nemar, v'gam macho im oso hamelech hesira migvira. Also, who wanted to remove all the Avodah Zarah of his father, right? So he took his mother and removed her from power. Yeah, because Asher Osasa La Asherah Mifletzes. Because she made a statue for the Avodah Zarah called Asherah. And it says, what did he do with that Avodah Zarah? Yeah, Vayodek Vayisroid Banachal Kidron. He ground it up and he put it into Nachal Kidron. So you see from over here that we're not choishish. The Chachamim said you can't grind up an Avodah Zarah and put it onto the ground and throw it into the wind because some particles might fall onto a Yid's field and he'll have enough in the fertilizer, it's going to fertilize his field. So Rabbi Yossi said, I have a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim that says that's exactly what they did.
The Yeshua was just a tree that was represented the Avodah Zarah.
No, the Avodah
It
Zarah,
was just a tree.
Yeah,
right?
but they used it as Avodah Zarah.
Right.
The Gemara says, Amru Lecham said, Misham Raya. Is there proof from over there? Nachal Kidron Eina Megadol Tzmachin. Nachal Kidron can't grow anything. What do you mean? It's not going to fertilize to benefit somebody because it can't grow. Eina Megadol Tzmachin, so it's not a problem. Gemara says, V'loi? Is that true that Nachal Kidron doesn't grow anything? But not. It's a Mishnah later. It says, Elu ve'elu mis'arvin ba'amo the Chatas Chitzoina and the Chatas Apnimis. you take the dam and you pour it onto the yisoid of the mizbeach hachitzon. So what happens with the dam? It's misarvin ba'ama. It gets mixed up ba'ama in the place where you pour it into by the mizbeach hachitzon. V'yoytzin l'nachal kidroin, and it flows out into the nachal kidron. And what happens with that? You sell that blood, right, to people who have fields and gardens, and use it as fertilizer. And if you're not paid it first, if you don't buy it off of Hegdish, and you take the kedusha from the dam and put it onto the money, then you're moil in it. So what do you see from here? Nachal kidron, ding, 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 does get fertilized and it does produce fruits. So how could you tell me
It
that
says
Nachal
it produces
Kidron?
fruits. In other words, it gets fertilized. But does it say it produces
Why would somebody
fruits?
buy it as fertilizer if it doesn't produce fruits? That's what it means.
Okay.
Yeah. So it produces fruits. So you have. Well, how can you tell me? Eino megadol tzmochin. The Chachamim answered it's not megadol tzmochin. That's why it wasn't a problem to throw it into Nachal Kidron. But the truth is, it is megadol tzmochin. That's what they used it for when they sold the blood from the mizbeach, from the dam achatas achitzon and apnimi. Gemara says, "Mekoimis yeshboi." Different spots, different places in Nachal Kidron. Yesh megadol tzmochin, yesh makom shein megadol tzmochin.
Yeah.
You're right. There's some who megadol tzmochin, some are not. Says the Gemara, "My meflatzta." Now translation, definitions. What does meflatzta? What does the word meflatzta mean? Rav Yehuda dava mafli leitzanusa. Oh, Macha, his mother, right? She was mafli leitzanusa. It's noitraken. Meflatzta is she did maisa leitzanis. She did maisa tzalon. She did maisim that were very low and
No, בלשון the secular, מפלצת זה monster.
Really?
Yeah.
Never know.
מפלצת זה monster.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay.
I don't know how they...
What kind of monster? A funny monster? Because this is a bit, no? Ah.
Mocking is not funny.
Mocking is not funny. No.
Mocking is not funny.
No, it's a mockery.
Sarcasm to put down.
Yes.
It's a monster, to be a monster.
Psst.
Think about it.
Very good.
To mock, to put down
Yes.
something holy like
It's a monstrous act.
Monster.
This is
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a
It's a
mullet.
monstrous
like
act.
a mullet. The mice of a mullet.
Psst. I hear that. So the Gemara says, "Kedetoni Rav Yezek im zachrus asasala voisin of elis loy b'chal yoyim." She pretended that it was a zachar and she was having relations. Omer Rabbi Yossi v'lekvar nemar nocha raya that Rabbi Yossi says, "I have a raya from Tanakh, another raya from Tanakh. You're allowed to take it Avodah Zarah, grind it up, and then throw it into the wind." What's the raya? Because it says by Chizkiyo Melech Yehuda. It says "V'chitas nechash and nechoishes asher osa Moshe." You know what the Yidden did? Remember the story we just had in the parsha? Yidden did with the copper snake.
Right.
The copper snake that Moshe Rabbeinu put up. Yeah? You have a mission Rosh Hashanah about that, right? Is there or not? Okay.
This was by the time of the Melchama.
Yeah. They didn't, no, they were dying. They were dying. Magefa.
Right.
And the Nachash, they looked up to the Nachash. Yeah? They looked up to heaven.
Nachash and
They were
Nechoshet.
getting bitten
Nachash
by
and
snakes.
Nechoshet.
They were getting bitten by snakes.
They were getting bitten by snakes, and Hashem said to make a copper snake and put it up on a stick, and everybody looks up, and then they'll be healed, right? Is that what it is? Okay.
And you look at it. You looked at a lot of pharmacies. That's the
That's their logo. That's
Their
their
logo
symbol.
is the staff with the snake around it. Right.
I want to know why the barber has the red, white, and blue
I'll tell you
spinning
why. I'll
around.
tell you
That's,
exactly
that I
why.
never understood.
You want to know? I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because hundreds of years ago, in fact, the Gemara talks about this. Standard medical treatment was bloodletting.
Oh yes, sure.
Right? Okay. So who had knives to let blood?
Ooh, the barber did all of that.
That's
huh?
right, and that's where the red.
I'm going to the barber to get a blood test. Oh, I can't even
not
imagine.
a blood
Okay.
test. No. The red stripe around the pole
Yeah.
is a bloody rag.
Oh my goodness. Oy. Okay. I think me and Shalom are going to faint soon if we continue talking about it. Okay. Rabbi Yossi, what did they do? Chizkiyahu Melech Yehuda, in this time, they took this copper snake from Moshe Rabbeinu's days, and they served it as Avodah Zarah. Could you imagine? They served it as Avodah Zarah. So what did Chizkiyahu do? He took it and he ground it up. So the Gemara says, Rabbi Yossi says, here you have a pasuk. You can take Avodah Zarah and grind it up, right, and throw it to the wind. Amr Lechem said, no, Misham Raya, you think...
Threw it away.
That's what it means. To grind it up, obviously, it means that's you grind it up. That's the next step.
You don't bury it?
You don't have to grind it up if you bury it. The Gemara says, "Amri Lechem said Misham Raya." That's a proof. Harei oimer vayomer Hashem al Moshe, asay lecha saraf, lecha mishalcha. You have to take it from your own assets, from whatever you have, and from that you should make the copper snake. So the klala is ve'ein adam oiser dover she'eino shaloi. They can't aser. Later on, they wanted to make the snake that belonged to Moshe Rabbeinu into an Avodah Zarah. The halacha is you can't take somebody else's nechasim and make it aser. V'hasim bedinu dechatus la'avatzarich. Chizkiyahu didn't even have to grind it because it wasn't even Avodah Zarah. Because I can't make your stuff Avodah Zarah. If I could, then if I'm angry with you, you know what I'll do? I'll go to your house that you just built for $5 million. I'll bow down to it. I'll aser your whole house, right? It'll be crazy. So you can never aser somebody else's nechasim, right? That's the halacha. So really, these yidden could not have made the nechash and nechoshes into an avodah zarah because it doesn't belong to them. Now the question is, this is years later. Who does it belong to? Moshe Rabbeinu passed away already. I guess it belongs to the Yarshim, yeah?
Claudius or whatever.
Belongs to the Yarshim.
What about bowing down to a person, like
Huh?
a king? A king.
Yeah, what about it?
Bowing down to a king. Are you allowed to bow down to a king if they're
To
not
aser the person? What do you mean? Like that you can't have enough of the
Are you
person?
allowed bow down to a person?
They bowed down to Paro. They made Paro into a king, right?
Why not? There's no problem with that because you can't make Paro into a king.
He's saying how could you
I understand what
should
Talmud
ever
if he had like
Uh-huh.
or with the Pope.
That's
Person, is there a problem?
interesting. If the person is willing and an accomplice in crime, it could be a problem because he himself is giving permission. If the owner gives permission, then it's okay, right? He himself is giving permission. So the Gemara says like this: he didn't have to grind it up. Right? He wanted to show, be mafarsim, that this was usher. That's why he ground it up. But really, they never made it into an avodah zarah because it didn't belong to them. Amar lahem anacharai. Rabbi Yossi doesn't give up. He goes through all of Tanakh, and he's trying to find in every story that he can a raya that you can grind an avodah zarah and it's enough. Amar lahem ba'aloi. It says when they were mamlich, this Kalisol was mamlich David HaMelech. Yeah, Farnemar, it says over there, Vayazvu Shom es Atzabeyim. After David fought with the Plishtim, yeah, they left all their avodah zarahs there. Now the Plishtim left it, right? Vayisoim David va'anashav. And David did something. It says Vayisoim. Now we're going to figure out what the word Vayisoim means. Vayisoim David va'anashav. Umay mashma, says the Gemara, Dahai Vayisoim David lishna dezruyahu. And the Gemara is explaining now, what is the Lashon of Yisoim? What do they do over there? So the Gemara says, this Lashon of Zruya means that they ground it up and they threw it into the wind. How do we know that? Because the Matagim Rav Yosef, Tizrei Meruach Veruach Tisoim, Metakamina, Tizrina Veruach Tataltulinun. So you see that in the story of David HaMelech and the Plishtim, right? They took the Plishtims of Avodah Zarah. What did they do with it? They ground it up and they threw it into the wind. See, it's mutter to grind it up and throw it into the wind. Amru Lo Yecham said, no, Misham Raya. That's not a Raya. Harei Oimer, over there it says in the pasuk, "Vayisarfu ba'esh." In a different place in Divrei Hayamim, when it recounts the story again, story that's mentioned in Shmuel, it recounts it again, and it says that they actually burnt it. Right? It was Vayisoim means they burnt it, right? Not that they threw it into the wind. So the Gemara says, "Like siva yisrfeim Vayisoim, shma mino Vayisoim kipshuta." It means that they mamish carried it. So the Gemara says they carried it and then they burnt it. Which one did they do? It says a stira. It says they burnt it. It says that they carried it. Loi kasha, it's not a kasha. Here is before the Plishti came from Giti and he was Mavatal of Avodah Zarah the Plishtim. And here it's afterwards that he was Mavatal it. So we learned that a goy can be Mavatal the Avodah Zarah of a goy and his friend. So here, when the goy Ite Agiti came, so he was able to be Mavatal it, so he didn't need to burn it. But before he came,
two neighbors. They don't know no shaykhs to each other.
No shaykhs.
One has an Avodah Zarah. Their neighbor says he's Mavatal it, right?
That's right. This Plishti from the Irgas came. By the time he came, they had another Eitzah. They asked him to be Mavatal the Avodah Zarah. But before he came, they had to burn it. So this way, the two psukim are reconciled. One pasuk that says Vayisrfem was before Itagiti came, because they didn't have any Avodah Zarah, any goy to be Mavatal it. The other pasuk that says Vayisoim, that they carried it, they took it to themselves. That's because it was waiting this battle through Itagiti. The Chsev, it says Vayikach esateres malkam me'al roishoi. Yeah, David HaMelech took the crown of this Avodah Zarah of their Avodah Zarah from the Avodah Zarah's head. Umishkala kikar zahav. It weighed a tremendous amount. And Mishari, well, how's David HaMelech allowed to wear the crown of the Avodah Zarah, the Plishtim? Yisura nonenu. It's asabana. Amar Rav Nachman, itagiti ba bitlo. That's the Teretz. The Teretz says he only took it once itagiti came. It was mevatel Avodah Zarah. Once he was mevatel Avodah Zarah, then it's mutar ba'ano.
Wasn't there a special crown that only David HaMelech and his family? It fit on them in a specific way.
Gemara's going to talk about it. Let's see. Gemara's going to talk about that.
So what does that have to do with
Yeah.
that? I mean,
Here we're talking about the crown of their Avodah Zarah. How was he allowed to take it to begin with? Avodah Zarah is asabana.
So in other words, that's a separate crown, different than the one we're talking
No,
about.
Gemara's going to talk about this crown.
Yeah.
Actually, it's going to be this crown. But first, the first step is, how is he allowed to take the crown to begin with? If it belongs to the Avodah Zarah, it's asabana.
Yeah.
Teretz is, itagiti came was mevatlet. Gemara says, by the way, a technical question. Mishkala kikar zov, heicha matzah manachla. If it weighed so much, right, a kikar zav, how is David HaMelech, how can he wear a kikar zav? I don't know if you ever wore,
It was a gibor.
I don't know if you ever wore a Shtieble, yeah? Let me just tell you something, okay? I grew up Hasidish. Huh?
This is the least of the problems.
Yeah, it's a technical issue.
Right.
Okay, and listen, I grew up Hasidish, my father wears a Shtieble, okay? One of the things I saved by kind of going to Litvish yeshivas and becoming a Litvak is that I don't have to wear a Shtieble. Shtiebles look beautiful, but they're quite heavy. And in the summer,
very, very expensive.
they're very expensive. In the summer, it's quite hot. Okay.
Right.
So sometimes I look at these Shtiebles, and the spudiks. It's amazing.
Now they're getting bigger.
It's really heavy. You wear a Shtieble, you know. Okay, but when you get married, you wear a Shtieble, Pashas, no?
What are they? What?
So yeah.
$5,000-$6,000. Some of them.
So it's like shackles, like it depends. Like it's yeah.
If it's laced up.
If it's laced up.
Now they're starting
Did I tell you? The Gemara asks, how can it be that he wore this crown, the
Yeah,
Shkola
the-
kickers
yeah,
off?
the
It
throne.
weighed so much. How was David HaMelech? How could David HaMelech wear it?
David HaMelech was a gibor.
He had a throne that had the hawk that picked up his.
Amar Rav Yudah Marav, Ru'uya Lanuach al Rosh David. Doesn't mean actually wore it. It means that it's Ru'uya Lanuach al Roshai. By the way, I told you, we were just in Greece. And we went to a museum where they uncovered the grave of Alexander the Great's father, King Philip. And they had his crown from 2,500 years ago, a gold crown. And gold, by the way, doesn't get oxidized. It doesn't get.
That's the reason why
it's gorgeous. It's heavy, beautiful.
How old is it?
No, it's in a glass. It must be worth.
millions.
Priceless. It's priceless.
Yeah.
It's King Philip, Alexander the Great's father. It's unbelievable. They have his crown and his wife's crown also.
They don't know how they made
They
it.
have the chest, because the minhag was in those days to cremate all these kings. Alexander the Great cremated his father, and they have the ashes of Alexander the Great's father in this chest. Unbelievable. Anyway, bottom line is, I looked at the crown. I remember thinking, how do you, first of all, it's so uncomfortable.
No,
How
they
do
made
you
it after he died. He never wore it.
Oh, he never wore it.
No.
They made it after he
They
died.
made it after he died? Just to put it there?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't hear that.
I didn't
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that.
So he never wore it.
What?
I was there.
He was there with me.
Oh.
Yeah, my kids were there.
Okay.
So, I didn't hear. The tour guide was very annoying
I
to
didn't
listen
hear
to,
that
so I
either.
just, I didn't
I
hear.
never get stolen.
Huh? But he sounded like a tape recorder. Anyway, he never wore it. So over here, the Gemara's first teretz is lahavdul elif alfei avdulas. David HaMelech never wore it.
Okay.
Mom is just in time for the story here. Rabbi Yossi Reb Chanina Omar Evan Shoyeves Hoysava. There was a magnet. You hear this? Magnetiles. Yeah. The Havas Doralo that it pulled it up, and this way it made it easier for him to wear. It's very interesting. I don't know. This magnet must have pulled
Attached
it.
to what?
Must have pulled it upward. I'm not sure.
Attached to what?
To the crown. The crown had a
Good,
magnet.
but the other side, what was it attached to?
I'm not sure exactly how that worked.
I mean,
because it sounds
good,
like
you stick a magnet on something. It's not
Rashi
to make it
says.
lighter.
Rashi says a kind of magnet. I don't know if we have it today. It's a magnet that pulls it upward. Derech oisa even lahagbiya hamatches v'letloisa ba'avir. Rashi says,
It's the reverse side. There's
what,
two sides
if
of
you
the
have a
magnet.
reverse
If you
side?
have two negatives.
No, there's
One's
a
away from
positive
the
and a
other.
negative side, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's the other side.
Yeah, but the thing is,
Are you serious? Like
Magnets
if
go
you,
away from each other also. You put two magnets together.
No, but like you have a kind of magnet that pulls it up it
No,
upward.
it's only got to be. It only works if it's. It only works if it's paired with something. It only works if it's paired with.
So what would it be paired with?
Another magnet.
The crown has a magnet. The floor has a magnet or something.
The crown's a
The
magnet
floor?
itself.
I don't know where.
The crown's a magnet itself. It's made out of metal.
So the
So-
crown is a magnet, and then you have
can't
another
make gold into a
stone
magnet.
inside the crown.
No, it's
No,
magnetic.
You cannot make gold into a magnet.
It's
But he's wearing it.
You don't. You know
Don't
for
you
a
make
fact.
the shoe thing to have a shoe thing?
If he's wearing it, how does it work?
purely.
Gemara wants to know how could he wear such a heavy crown? Gemara says, oh, there was a magnet
I
in
don't know
there.
who's talking about gold.
You never see make the shoe that hovers.
I don't know.
Okay, you're right. Right. It was iron. You know, you never know. Right.
But what was holding it up in the air?
Malachim.
Not the bird. The Gemara is saying there was a magnet, a stone.
Oh, a stone. No. It
No,
says
David had a crown that he took from the Avodah Zarah of the Pelishtim.
On the
Gemara
roof.
talks.
On the roof.
On the roof of what?
Doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Ah, like inside his chamber. Oh, I see.
No. It says it was a stone on the crown, right? You said a stone.
Yeah, it's Evan Asher Eves, Rashi says, that's pulling it
But
upward
that's
and
not-
hanging it in
That-
the air.
Who says that's a magnet?
Art scroll. The Hebrew art scroll calls it a
Okay.
magnet. Evan Asher Eves means magnet. That's what he said. Okay, Reblazer Omer Evan Yekaro Isa Bashashava Kicker Zov. It doesn't mean a kicker zov mamish. That's so heavy. It means it was a diamond that was the worth of kicker zov. Okay. So we're going to talk about it right now. So the Gemara says, Zois Hoiseli Kifakadechan Atzarti. It's a pasuk in Tehillim Kuf Yutes. Yeah? It says that the mitzvahs was my guardian. All the mitzvahs that I kept guarded me, watched over me. My Beschar Shepikadechan Atzarti. With a reward from the reward for keeping your mitzvahs. Yeah, Zois Hoiseli Le'edus. This crown was a testimony for me on my behalf. My Adusa, what did it testify? So the Gemara says, Amr B'Shuba Levi, Shoymenicha b'makam tefillin, v'haylamtai. It fit him perfectly. He put it on the makam tefillin, and this crown, it was a nace, right? It fit him perfectly on his head, which means that it was a testimony to anyone who saw that he was the king, he was the Melech Yisrael. Gemara says, what do you mean? He put it in the makam tefillin? V'abaya nucha tefillin. He has to put tefillin on his head.
Right.
How can he put it in the makam tefillin? Avrav Shmuel Avrav Yitzchak, makoim yesh b'roishai b'roishai aliyah she'olich b'shtei tefillin. Yeah, there's enough place on a person's head to wear two tefillin. I don't know if you ever saw in the old city, like some people, they have these
Even
tiny
here in
tefillin, right?
No,
You saw
even
that?
here in LA.
Here in LA?
Are you kidding? Of course.
You? Who?
Svardim.
The guy, his father does it?
Yeah.
They usually hide it. They usually hide it.
No, there are a lot of people.
No, not on the arm, on the head.
They put a
Right.
cap over it.
Really?
The bottom are about the size of a sugar cube, or slightly larger.
Interesting, very interesting.
Nobody could buy fit two of those.
No way Chabad could, yeah.
No, Chabad, no, they don't do that. No. But I'm Svardim do it. I've seen it in a lot of different places. Yeah.
What is that? I'm not exactly sure.
They put them.
I don't know. It's a good
They
question.
put them one behind the other.
It's a good question. One behind the other. That's what he says. Okay.
Yeah.
Zug die Gemara weiter. Vayitziu es ben HaMelech v'it lo v'sanez v'sa Eidos nezes klila. Eidos, Amr Rav Eidos lebeis David shkol roy l'malchus l'lamtov cheshin l'malchus in l'lamtoi. Anyone who's royal l'malchus beis David, when he put that crown on, it fit him perfectly. It was a nace. Anyone who wasn't, it didn't. Says the Gemara. Pasuk Melachim says Vadinio ben Chagis, right? Who was one of the David HaMelech's sons. Right? He had a wife called Chagis. How many wives did David HaMelech have? 18. Misnasei leimrani emlech. Shlomo HaMelech had a lot, yeah? 18 is also... All right, one is too many already. Anyway, it says that he was the one who took it upon himself. He's like, I'm going to be the king. Yeah? He wanted to take that crown. He wanted to say, hey, everybody, look, my crown. It fits me perfectly. Didn't fit him. The kids are so... Everybody knew it was not Royal Malchus. Says the Gemara Vayta V'yas Loi Rechev Parashim. Dinio made himself Rechev Parashim, right? Chariots with riders. V'chamisha Mishratz Lafanim, and he had 50 people running in front of him. Ma'irav V'sayu. What was the gedula of 50 people running in front of the chariots? Tana Kulam Netule Tchoil V'chakuke Kapas Raglayim. We had this in Sanhedrin that these people, I guess, they took part of their under their feet. What did they do? They took some samim and they cut away part of the the souls to be able to run faster. And that was the gedula of having 50 people, 54 runners in front of his chariots. So the Heilige Mishnah.
Okay. All right.
Mem Dalet Amud Beis. Let's go. We got to finish the daf. We only have 50 minutes left. Says the Mishnah. Shoal Pruklus ben Ploisfus. All right, you ready? This Ovet Kechavim was Zoicha somehow to be embedded in our Mishnah in Shas. I don't know how, but maybe for this conversation. Shoal Pruklus ben Ploisfus Rabbi Gamliel ba'Akai. They were in Akai, and he asked Rabbi Gamliel the Heilige. This Ovid Avodah Zarah asked Rabbi Gamliel the following: Shahir Roichetz b'merchatz shel Aphrodite. He was it was in a Freudian bathhouse, yeah. Okay. Omar Loi. Rabbi Gamliel himself was in a Aphrodite bathhouse, yeah. He was mamish in a Aphrodite bathhouse, which is a bathhouse that belonged to Avodah Zarah. Reb Shol Yemi. Omar Loi Kosev b'Teiraschem. He says, steht in the Torah. It says you're not allowed to have enough from Avodah Zarah. Why are you in this? You're in a bathhouse? That is in a church. Imagine going into a church and going in a bathhouse, using the bathroom or the bathhouse of a church. Says the Gemara. So he asked him, how are you allowed to be here? How are you allowed to be in this bathhouse? Omar Loi, so Gamliel said to Pruklis, he said like this, Ein meshivin b'merchat. I'm not allowed to answer you in a bathhouse. You want me to give you a whole shtickle Torah? You want me to tell you why? I'm in a bathhouse. They're not people are dressed inappropriately, not dressed at all. I can't talk in a bathhouse. Kshiyotzo. Yeah. By the way, how is he allowed to say that? That itself is halacha, right? That itself is Torah. That I'm not allowed. The halacha is I'm not allowed to speak in a bathhouse. Divrei Torah. Gemara's going to ask the question. Gemara's going to ask it. Gemara says. No, mikvah's different. Kshiyotza, when Gamliel left, Omar Loi, he said to Pruklis the following: Ani Loi basi b'gvula, he ba b'gvuli. I said I'll explain to you. Number one is who was here first? The merchatz was here first, right? The bathhouse was here first. Before this church was erected, right? So he says, look, the bathhouse didn't come into the rishus of the Avodah Zarah. The Avodah Zarah was built in the rishus of the bathhouse. So that's not a problem, yeah. So ein oimrim nase merchatz noila freudeti. People don't say that this merchatz is built for the Avodah Zarah. The opposite, it's the other way around. Says the Gemara, Dover Acher, right? So the second reason. And the third reason is, if I paid you a lot of money, yeah, you wouldn't go into this church naked, yeah? And relieve yourself in front of it. So Zu Medes al Pi Abiv. This bathhouse is standing al Pi Abiv, and al Pi Abiv
is what?
Is in I guess what does Rashi say? Al Pi Abiv in the sewage pipe. And everybody is relieving themselves right in front of this Avodah Zarah, and it says in the Torah, "Lo nemer elo Eloheihem," right there, gods, which means as shenoyeg by mishum aleha, anyone who you treat like a god, that's aser. But to go in front of this Avodah Zarah and to be mashtin b'fanel and to go naked in front of it, not a problem, because this is a very degrading way of behaving in front of this getchka, in front of the statue. So that's not awesome.
The avoda for Balpor.
Oh, Gemara's going to talk about that in a moment. Let's see. Says the Gemara. Asks the Gemara, how was Rabbi Gamliel allowed to say that I'm not allowed to talk in Divrei Torah in the merchatz? That itself is Divrei Torah. That itself is, yeah, it was in the Gemara's going to say it wasn't in the merchatz. Let's see. Huh? Oh, let's see. Very good question, Pesach. Every place it's mutter to be mahar. Chutz mi beis hamerchatz beis hakisei. You're not allowed to think in a beis hamerchatz or in a beis hakisei, which is a big problem for you. I'm sure for the big Talmidei Chacham who are always thinking and learning, it's a big problem. I know the Rogatchover, they say had to bang on the walls when he was washing up in the beis hakisei because he didn't want to think and learning, and it was very hard for him. Yeah. Yeah, here we have to bang on the walls of the Beis Medrash to think and learning, yeah? To bang on the walls to think and learning. Anyways, either way, the Gemara says, and if you'll tell me, Gamliel spoke in Greek, whatever the language was then. So he wasn't really speaking the Lashon HaKodesh, so maybe that's mutter, yeah? He spoke in a different language. You could speak about Mekach HaMemker in business in Lashon HaKodesh. But Dvorim Shal Kodesh, But if you're speaking and learning, that's also we can't even speak about that in a foreign language. So if Rabbi Gamliel answered him in a foreign language, but it's still different Torah, it's still us. So how is he allowed to answer him? That it's the halacha is I can't answer you. Says the Gemara Tana, like his Chaim said, Kashiyotza Amar Lo Yimshim Merchatz. He didn't say it actually in the Beis HaMerchatz. In the Beis HaMerchatz itself, I guess he ignored him. In the end, when they walked out, they said, excuse me that I ignored you, but I wasn't allowed to answer you in
like the mikveh
Merchatz.
here. There's a dressing room and the room with a mikveh.
Is that what it means? The Shiyotza means he left the bathhouse or he left in the out?
It's all like you pay to get in.
Yeah.
And there are places to hang up your clothes.
Yeah.
And then you walk in and there are showers and the mikveh right there.
Yeah, but I don't.
It's a separate room.
No, I don't know if you go to Beis Yehuda mikveh. In today's mikvahs, used to be in the olden days, you still dressed somewhat maybe with your undergarments, and then you went into the shower room, or you went, nigachkas, I wanted to say. But over here, there's no difference. People are walking around Arim. They're walking around naked in both places.
Right.
In both
Exactly
ways.
right.
So I don't think there's a difference so much.
So what were they schmoozing about?
What were they schmoozing about? Yeah, no, he confronted him. He says, "How you allowed to be here?" No, how you allowed to be here? So that when he didn't schmooze. When he left, that's when he told him, "I couldn't answer you inside, but I'm going to give you 3 reasons why I'm allowed to use the bed." Huh?
What were they talking about?
Oh, so what were they? You want to know what the other? Right, very good. About Trump. Amr Reb Cham Bar Yosef Baribam Rabashi Tshuva Genuva Heshivrim Gamliel Loisa Hegman Vaniam Enignu. Now the Gemara is going to take apart the answers Gamliel gave him. Were they really valid answers? Were they good answers or not? The Gemara says like this. Loisa Hegman means that sar, that powerful. He was I guess. Huh? An officer. Very good. So the Gemara says like this. Reb Oishia says it was a tshuva genuva. It wasn't the correct answer that he gave him, right? It was genuva, meaning his goin of das. He made him believe like it was. He was deceptive. He made him believe like it's. Yeah, exactly.
So that's
not
not
yeshivish is not deceptive. Hold on.
No.
Yeah.
That's not different Torah. It was deceiving.
Now you're saying a different thing. Maybe you could. Then he could have answered him in the.
What?
No, there's a whole shaila. There's a havamin in the Gemara. Different Torah. Do you have to make brachas Torah and a havamin of a Gemara?
Right. I don't know. Yeah.
The answer is yes. Okay, fine. Havamin also has a din of different Torah. So, like, if you're speaking and learning, but you're not mamish on course, maybe. Okay, either way, Gemara says Magnuf say. Why did Oishia say that it wasn't the correct answer? What was incorrect about it? The Ka'omer Loi, because he said, Zu oimedes al pi abiv v'chol odem mashtem b'feneon. He tried to say that since the location of the merchatz is in a place and in a space where it's derogatory to the Avodah Zarah, therefore it's mutter. Gemara says, V'chim mashtem b'feneon my hava. Rava says, Bal Pa'oir will prove that even if you behave in a degrading way to Avodah Zarah, it's still not doesn't absolve you from the Isra of Avodah Zarah.
That was the avoda.
What does he say? People would relieve themselves in front of Bal Pa'oir every day. They're in a bottle, and it's not bottle. So how could Rabbi Yoel say to this hegma, to this officer, that over here I'm allowed to cause this is everybody's walking naked in front of this Avodah Zarah? Doesn't help. You see, Bal Pa'oir didn't help. Says it's not a tain on him. Ain't a gnuva. No, it was still a correct answer. You know why? Because Bal Pa'ir is different. Zu avoid the bekach. Bal Pa'ir, that was the way they served the Pa'ir.
Right.
The zu ain't avodas bekach. But this avodah zarah, that was the Aphrodite, right? The Aphrodite was not avodas bekach, and that's why if we did it, then it was degrading. It wasn't a problem. Amar Abaye says, gnufsu mehacham. I have another reason why actually Rabbi Gamliel's answer was incorrect. The Ka'amar Lei, because the second reason Rabbi Gamliel gave this officer was, he said, Ani loy basi b'gvula, v'hi ba b'gvuli. Right? He said, I wasn't the one who came into the merchatz. Wasn't built after the church. The church came into the gvul of the merchatz. So Mamela, it doesn't answer it. Who cares what came first? It shouldn't matter. Because the Mishnah later says, the Mishnah says, it says that as long as you're nana from the merchatz of the gina, that's by the avodas kechavim, and you're not makir toiva for the priests that are serving the avodah zarah there, it's not a problem. But if you're makir toiva, then it is a problem. So the chilik is not if it came first or not. The chilik is if you're makar toiva or not. So Rabbi Gamliel made it sound like there's a chilik if the merchatz came first or the bathhouse came first. That's what it sounded like.
Or in other words, you're saying, going into a place like that, if you're makar,
Yeah, if you're makar
in other words,
toiva, even if the merchatz came first.
right?
But if you're not makar toiva, it's mutter. If you're makar toiva, even if the merchatz came after, it's also.
That means any church.
Yeah, any church, doesn't matter if it came first or last. What matters is my response to using this merchatz. If my response is a makar toiva, then it's asur, even if the merchatz came after. And if my response is I'm not makar toiva, then it's mutter, even if the merchatz came first.
Just north of San Diego, there's this beautiful, stunning, beautiful park.
Okay.
The problem is, it's made by, they call it the Self-Realization Fellowship. They're Hindus, and it's basically as a tribute to some guru that came to America.
A getchka. They serve this.
It's the whole thing. I mean,
It's a
Hinduism is real. Avodah Zarah. The thing is, but you're just going into a park.
Yeah.
But the whole thing, I think, I was told,
It's serving
it has the din of a church.
Really? Wow. Fascinating. So the Gemara says, Abaya said, the Gamliel's answer was misleading. Why was it misleading? Because he differentiated if the merchatz came first.
I could be wrong, but I'm just saying.
If the merchatz came first or after. But the Mishnah later differentiates it differently. It says, the chilik is whether you're makar toiv or not. V'ani oimer eini genuva. Why? Because shaloi b'toivas Rabbi Gamliel ke b'toivas acherim dami. Because Rabbi Gamliel wouldn't have had the heter of not being makar toiva. You know why? Rabbi Gamliel was the most chashav a person in Klal Yisrael. So he was so chashav that if he showed up, he was the nasi. So if he showed up to this merchatz, says the Gemara, that was makar toiva. He gave tremendous chashivas, his presence.
Right.
So Mamela, that's why it wasn't actually a misleading answer. Rabbi Gamliel had to fall back on the reason that the merchatz came after and not before. That's why Rabbi Gamliel answered in such a way.
Like these politicians, that the biggest thing in their life is they got a photograph of them shaking hands with the president, the government, like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, I mean, but we also. I mean, I just saw somebody post a picture of him. Was it Mamash? His whole picture on his profile is him with Reb Chaim Kanievsky.
Yeah.
Is it you? No, somebody. Yeah. With the Chacham Ovadia. This is yeah. I remember. Yeah.
This is chashivas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as a
Rav Simi Bachi Omar Gnufsa Ma'acha. He says no. There was a different reason why it was misleading. Why Rabbi Gamliel's answer was misleading. The Ka'omar Loi, because at the end he says Zoya Medes Al Biv V'Chol Odom Mashtin B'Faneo, because we're all degrading it. He asks the Gemara, who cares if they're degrading it by the way they are showing up in front of it? They're relieving themselves. But Tanan, we learned in the Mishnah later, Rak b'faneo, Hishtin b'faneo, Geirira. Doesn't matter if you spit in front of it, if you relieve yourself in front of it, or Geirira, or you drag it in mud, v'zorik b'asayt soya, and you throw whatever your refuse you have, harez and abatela, it's not bottle. So who cares if you degrade it? To the Mishnah, before we asked him Baal Pa'ir, we answered Baal Pa'ir, that's Avidas Avekach. Now the Gemara is asking him a different Mishnah. The Mishnah says if you rock b'fanel, mashtin b'fanel, it's still a problem. So the Gemara says, so how could Rabbi Yoel have answered that because I'm mashtin b'fanel, it's not a problem? You see, the Mishnah is still a problem. Ask the Gemara, Vani Omer Eina Genuva. Rabbi Yosef says, no, it wasn't so misleading because Hasam Lifi Shaita Hu Rosach Allah. That's when the guy is angry with the Avodah Zarah. It's amazing. V'hadar mafayasla. And then they make up. So when the guy spits at the Avodah Zarah, is mashtin b'faneh because he's angry. I guess the Avodah Zarah didn't answer his prayers. And then he calms down and says, no, I'm so sorry. Like, and he goes, then the Avodah Zarah is not batal. How can the Avodah Zarah be batal? He's never really disconnected himself completely from the Avodah Zarah. He comes back. But hacha, over here, kol shaita v'shaita b'zilzula kaima. The merchatz's place is established permanently in front of the Avodah Zarah. So it's being mamish. You're degrading the Avodah Zarah constantly, daily, weekly, and monthly, and yearly. So mamela for that, Rabbi Gamliel was right and correct in answering that is no problem. Huh? Must be a Jewish guy who built it, like the guy in the plaza by the the Italian Parliament, the menorah. Like that.
What is this? What?
Yeah.
What?
No. It's just you have to watch the film on Tisha B'Av. Rabbi Bar Ula Omar. Genufsa mehacham. Last one. Last misleading. The Gemara says one more reason why he misled him. The Ka'amar lei ein oimrin nasa merchatz noy la afroidati el nasa afroidati noy la merchatz. People won't say that the merchatz
Was built first.
was built as a noy la afroidati to beautify the afroidati. Elo nasa merchatz. People don't say that, right? People don't say that the afroidati is a noy la merchatz. Merchatz is noy la afroidati. Okay, the Gemara says v'chi'oimrim nasa merchatz la afroidati noy my havi. Even if they would say that the merchatz was built to beautify the Avodah Zarah, what's the matter? It shouldn't make a difference. Vatanya ha'omer bayezel avodas kechavim koizel avodas kechavim lo emer klum she'ein hekdish lavodas kechavim. Because just to say that I'm setting it aside to an Avodah Zarah, it doesn't become aser ba'ano until you do an action. So just to say that, I want to designate this place or this space for the Avodah Zarah, that's not going to be an issue. So it sounds like Rabbi Gamliel that if people would say the merchatz was designated as a beautification for the Avodah Zarah, it would have been a problem. Gemara says a Mishnah, it's not a problem. You're right that the merchatz itself doesn't become osir with designating it as a noi to Avodah Zarah, but noi miya ikam. It's still a noi to the Avodah Zarah, and therefore Rabbi Gamliel shouldn't have been there, wouldn't be there if it would be a noi to the Avodah Zarah. Okay, we'll stop over here. What? No, it wasn't a noi to the Avodah Zarah because if you could turn up, if